Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Devil's Advocates podcast. I'm JP. I'm here with Andrew and Jake today. It's been a bit since I've seen you, Jake. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing? Over here, just finally able to actually do a little podcasting. Still doing not anymore a morning show, just reacting to the games, which is nice this week, especially given the complete lack of anything going on the past couple days. So, just enjoying not recording 24/7.
Honestly, probably the morning shows, you probably prefer those less to with the reactions that you're doing now, right? Those got to be so much easier to do.
Yes
At
and
least
no.
at least in season.
So the reacting directly after the game is nice because it's just I'm going off the dome. I'm not really even looking up any analytics on how the game went. Mostly just eye test and vibes, so I can kind of react just a lot more in the moment to stuff, which is nice. But obviously, it means staying up a little bit later and waiting for the upload so I can then tweet it out and stuff. So I'm just up a little later, and I'm also trying to be up earlier in the mornings right now.
Yeah.
But I would say I had what is it? I would basically blank. I would procrastinate starting the recording in the mornings. So now it's like there's no procrastination. It's just jump into it and do it, and then it's done. I don't got to worry about it, which is nice. So overall,
Yeah, it's also a little bit more
I'm
natural
enjoying
too.
yeah, so far. I've only done a couple, so we'll see how it kind of goes over the longer term. But yeah, how about you boys?
I'm good. I got not a lot going on right now, actually, at all. So I've just been watching the Devils nonstop.
I mean, same. I have a lot going on and also watching the Devils.
In my world, my Cowboys clinched the NFC East division yesterday, the number 2 seed. If there are any Eagles fans in here, how about those touchdown to interception stats? Those look pretty similar to last year, right? And you said Dak was pretty bad.
Why are you a Cowboys fan?
Mother. I just never liked the Giants.
Okay.
Jake said, he said mother, but his mic didn't pick it up. But no, I've never been a Giants fan. I liked the Jets a little bit when I was younger, and I liked the Packers, who the Cowboys are unironically playing, and have been the biggest playoff demon for the Cowboys since I've been a fan. So
I can't really judge you. I'm a Broncos fan for some
I was gonna
reason.
say, yeah, you're like that's even more random.
Yeah, I when I was a kid, I was a Jets fan, and I thought Tim Tebow was like really funny. And then when Tim Tebow went to the Broncos, I was like, I'm gonna be a Broncos fan. This is gonna rock. And then we got Peyton Manning, and I was like, well, now I can't not be a Broncos fan.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if we're talking about sports I no longer care about, I grew up a Raiders fan, but they moved, and I was like, I just don't care anymore. So I just don't care. The team plays in Jersey. If you don't actually rep Jersey, I'm not going to root for you either. So that's why Devils are my only team.
Yeah, I've kind of excommunicated any other sport, to be honest.
Used to be a Nets fan. I actually was I was very ready to get into Red Bulls, and then
soccer,
yeah. So yeah, it's just Devils. Until a team starts repping Jersey again or something. That's what I got. Although I've always told myself if I ever moved out of the state, I would still be a Devils fan, but I would pick up a more local sports team if they had any.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. What if you moved to Philadelphia?
Oh.
If I moved to Philly and it was going to be a long-term thing, absolutely not. It'd be rough. I guess I probably would. I'd probably pick up. I probably would, but
a slight interest,
but
not
like
a real
one.
interest.
It'd be rough. Yeah. It'd be really rough. But no, I can't. I'm not moving to Philly anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Devils hockey. Let's
Oh, is that what the podcast is about?
I would say so. Yeah. Let's start with the Chicago game. What were your thoughts?
Can we start with what people more care about and just talk about the injuries and roster status first, and then we'll jump into game reactions because we can have a lot of that discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of gonna segue that into Bedard's face, but
I mean, keep your head up. I don't know.
No, It was a clean hit. Stop bitching about it.
The comments were absolutely brutal, and it's like, oh, like another. I mean, one thing I did see, which I kind of agree with, which is more unfortunate, when McDavid's rookie season, he broke his collarbone from a pretty brutal hit. Obviously, not the collarbone for Bedard, but I don't know how long he's going to be out. I feel like with a broken jaw, you can kind of rehab it a little bit and then like wear some sort of shield, because I know Siegenthaler did that, and Nico did that recently too. So I don't know if he's going to miss too much time, but it's a bit unfortunate because I've looked up I saw some stats with and without Bedard, and I mean, you saw what they looked like without him. It's pretty brutal.
They won their game without him against a decent team.
That lineup they put out against the Flames, I think it was yesterday, the lineup they put out with them, everyone's like, this is like the worst roster I've ever seen, and then they just beat the Flames in regulation.
I love it. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Obviously, it was a completely clean hit, but if you're going to have anything break, your jaw is like one of the most inconsequential things as a hockey player for the most part. I mean, Dougie did play through it. He'll have the cage at some point. He'll come back. And he's still going to be absolutely phenomenal as a player. I mean, my God, what a talent. But,
yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, it's whatever, right? It's a jaw. It really is. It's not going to affect his trajectory at all.
Right. And then more importantly,
if anything, Chicago should be happy. They're probably going to lose more games than they otherwise would have.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Celebrini. Hard to complain about that. More importantly, how about the Devils' injuries?
Yeah,
that's rough. This sucks. This really sucks.
This isn't even like injury regret. It is, but it's so far past the point of regression. It's just like the complete polar opposite of what happened last year. They went into the season with Holla being hurt, and then it's just been like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, except it leaned all the way over and just collapsed, and everyone's getting hurt. It's the complete opposite.
Yeah,
it was to be expected this year, but it's past the point of no return.
Expected to a point, right? Like, yes, we should have had more injuries last year. I get should have, but I don't know if this is like injury regression. This just seems like real shit luck.
It's past the that's what I'm saying. It's like past the point of regression. Yeah. It's just like you're screwed.
Yeah.
For lack of a.
It's crazy to me that we had Nico and Jack out both for stretch. Timo overlapping with either or. We have Dougie out for essentially the rest of the season. It's been out for a good stretch now. Palat, Holla for bunches, and then like bottom six guys even with Nosek multiple stuff, Tierney some stuff. I think that's all of it, right? I don't. Siegenthaler now with the broken foot. Who knows how long there? Long term, for sure. Is he back for the season at all? Who knows?
It depends on the injury. If it's like somewhat of a clean break or like a minor fracture, it's like 4 to 6 weeks. But I did see someone posted something today. It could be like 3-ish months. Which
possibly want to touch about this when I know we're likely going to talk trade targets at another segment. But does the Siegenthaler timeline also factor in? Because we know Dougie back for playoffs. Does Siegenthaler being back for playoffs versus not affect to what they do? But we'll talk about that in a moment. But as far as injuries, right, that kind of covers it. I don't think we had, no Toffoli, no Mercer, Bratt, Mikey's been in, Lazar's been out with injury. Yeah. I missed him. Bastion has been.
He's just bad.
But I think he even missed a game or two. It was like one or two. Yeah.
Shoulder.
And then Holtz has been in the whole season, and Brendan Smith, other than healthy scratches. Miller's been injured and then healthy scratch.
Yep.
Marino's been every game. Luke's been every game. Nemec called up, hasn't been injured since. And then both goalies, sending Schmidt down and then bringing up Dawes. But yeah, it's been, and then all of that, right? All that insanity, and it's still not even that bad of a season at all.
No, it's
people are way overreacting in the Devils community to what the season's actually looking like. We're like in a playoff spot.
Yeah, 5 points.
And we have a couple games at hands, right?
Yeah, I mean the game against Tampa is it's big because they're below you and they have more games in hand. So if you win in regulation, it's pretty good.
We're in the playoffs. Like we are in the playoffs. Right
Yeah,
now. Not even just points percentage, which has been, technically true for stretches. Right now, we're just in right now.
Yeah. Right, and like not for anything, but we haven't even played 40 games. We haven't hit the 40 game mark. We're at 39, right?
38.
38. Okay, even better. There what? 44 games left. Like, come on, hold your horses, guys.
Also, it kind of goes back to what I just hold on real quick. It kind of goes back to what I mentioned last time. The expectations have changed, so it seems like the sky is falling. When in reality, I mean, you just listed. You could rewind and re-listen to what Jake said. It's like we have a laundry list of players who have been in and out of the lineup or out of the lineup, who have been underperforming to a degree, whatever. Literally the worst goaltending in the league, and you are still in the playoff spot.
Hard to complain.
And with poor at times poor lineup construction. With obviously we've been over this and we will go over all of that. You're still in a playoff spot. Again, people will probably freak out because the Islanders are loser points. The Rangers are in first place because they literally get the best time to score in the league, and Jonathan Quick is now Dominic Hasek. Like all of that combined in a playoff spot, it's just, I mean, survive. They're going through all of this and they're still in this playoff spot. Like that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, everyone will be healthy at one point.
I'm not someone to ever call out, fandom, especially Devils fandom, because, if you're a Devils fan, you're already better than like everybody else in the NHL as far as fandom goes. But within the Devils fandom, I would say after last season, we definitely had coming into this year with the hype and expectations on top of last year's quote unquote success. A lot of fair weather fans that probably did not start off watching last season, but joined in on the fun, and then were ready to hit the ground running this year, which we didn't, and have been very upset.
I don't know. It's just like, I mean, if you listen to any of the summer shows, like we went through, it's like they have, when healthy, they had, maybe still do, I don't know. Things change, like one of the best top sixes in the league. They finally got some pairings that are finally going to work together, that being Luke and Marino. Nemitz coming up and playing with Seekenthaler looks okay. Well, was okay. And then Ball, whatever, Dougie's out. I mean, things are still good. Even if like it's not like, there's no 13-game win streak this year. There's still a ton to be happy about and cheer for, even if it's not like great. Like Alex Holtz is the best 5-on-5 scorer on the team, efficiency-wise, flat out. That's not even up for discussion. It's just a fact. Simone Nemitz is literally one of the best defensemen in the league right now.
Crazy.
19 years old. 19 years old. Literally carrying Seekenthaler. We'll see who he carries next. We can get into the discussion later of what they're going to do. But the expectations, that's what, like, you have to dial it back. I think any rational fan has dialed back expectations a little bit. Yeah, we still expect them to make playoffs. Is it going to be pretty? Probably not.
All right, let's go ahead. Unless do you have any other further points as far as the expectations, team roster, that type? Okay. So, we obviously have Foote, that is the like redheaded stepchild of injuries, because I didn't even name him in my list, and the Devils basically ignore him in any update. But that was somebody that a lot of us projected to be a opening night roster guy that has just not been here the entire season. But as far as the big injuries go, I got one guy I want to super talk about, but he's the name I'm saving for last. Instead, we should start with the big name that currently is Schrodinger's injury in Jack Hughes.
Yep.
He missed a little stint earlier in the season. We know he was on like a almost 3-point per game, by far and away the most dominant player in the NHL to start the year. Gets hurt, comes back, and is more still franchise level player, but not best player in the NHL level player since returning.
Yep.
And now with his timeline being anywhere from, he's back Thursday to like 6 weeks and anything in between, that's our most dynamic player. You can say Nico is more of the heart and soul guy, and he's my last guy I want to get to, and what the roster and the play with him in and out of the lineup is like. But I mean, even just those few games without Jack, it's, the dynamicness, the like we could score at any secondness of the team feels not as much there without Jack. So depending on his timeline, I still think the roster is more than skilled enough, especially if it's seemingly like Palat and Timo should not be too much further out. We can definitely weather a Jack Hughes injury. It's just how long is that actually, and what effect does that have on the lines versus expectations for the next stretch of 1 to 10-ish games.
Yeah.
I mean, roll his eyes.
Yeah, as soon as you said the expectations for the lines, I immediately thought to the last game's lineup, and I just wanted to shoot myself.
I mean, to be fair, the last game's lineup is you're missing half your top 6, arguably.
Yeah, but you also have Nathan Bastian on the second line playing with Nico Hischier.
I mean that I disagree with. It just should not happen. Personally,
be in the lineup.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. He was very good last year, and it's one of those things where when they have a long enough track records, NHL coaches are going to give that guy a runway to find his game that he previously had, rather than give a young guy a chance to prove it. And I'll be honest, their next call up in Clark did not impress me even a little bit.
Oh, he looked horrible, yeah.
Even a little bit. So if that was the next in line guy, it's almost like, yeah, I just play Bastian at that point and hope he does find it, because he's had games, like individual games, where he's been fine, but they have been few and far between.
Yeah. It's also when he's primarily with Mikey, and then when he's away, I wish I pulled that. I wish I had it up. I can like I'm in the background, but like if he's not playing with Mikey, he's like almost useless.
Yeah,
Mikey McLeod, boy.
Dude, I hope he's innocent. I hope he's innocent.
That's what it was gonna get to in terms of like the short, like the immediate future injury with Jack. I mean, you can almost like you can weather the storm in a sense, because Mikey, like I hate to admit, I don't know why I just said that. Like, it's crazy to even say. It's like this isn't even like hyperbole. He might be their best forward this entire season in terms of consistency, not even like points wise. Depending where you look, he is.
If you want to say,
with Jack.
Yeah, I'd say Jack, and you could even say Brad, even though he had a stretch with no points.
Sure.
And now he's kind of back. He's kind of back on his shit. Beyond that, if you're talking pure consistency, not most valuable, not best, but just consistency, I'd give you that.
Yeah, I think the nickname Motor Mike it's like perfect. The guy just goes all out. But it's kind of scary sometimes, because like it's like with no regard for human life. Like he just like goes into the corner. He just transitions. He's one of the best transition guys in the league. Like flat out.
Yeah. In terms of consistency and being one of the better players, I would put Palat in that same category this year. I've shat on Palat and his contract a whole lot, and he's making me eat my words, which is a great thing.
Hey, who had the other side of that argument over here?
But yeah, no, I would put Mikey and Palat in like the upper tier of consistently good from start to finish this season. I don't really. Maybe Lazar is up there.
Lazar's been
he was like really high end good.
Yeah.
Now he's
come back down a little bit,
which obviously to be expected. Like
right.
he's like a career fourth line PK guy, but like again, good.
And
so
then maybe
like
Colin Miller.
I think he's had a stinker or two in there. He's for the most part, for sure. Like on the aggregate, absolutely. But I think he's had a game or two. Yeah, but for Mikey, even further, and talking the Vancouver lineup you brought up, JP, it's like I completely get not wanting to touch that line after what they had done. But with Jack being out, I would love to see you load the top line, do the Toffoli, Nico, Brett, and then do your shutdown line with Mikey. And honestly, I'd be fine even keeping the same line. Do it Mikey, Holtz, Lazar. Mikey and Lazar does a lot of the beefy stuff. Holtz is out there for the I'm just put puck in net guy. And run that. Third line, throw Holla at center and throw Mercer on the wing with him with who who would have been the third line wing there with Jack, Palat, and Timo all out. It probably would have needed to be. Who am I blanking on there's an obvious answer here, right?
Did you say Mercer?
Yeah, so it'd be Holla center, Mercer right wing. Right. Left wing in that case. If you wanted to give him a legitimate shot, you could say Clark. But having actually watched that game, I don't want to say Clark there.
If there's a time to do it, it's now.
Yeah, but it's like you had Smith, Tierney, and Bastion as the last. So what? You put Smith, the third line left wing, with Tierney, fourth line center with Bastion Clark. Like, I definitely feel for the coaching staff there a little bit because, like, you start writing that in and you get the bottom six, and it's like, oh, God. It's like, no Nico Tatar,
give them a pick higher for Tatar. Bring him back.
He's been really good in Seattle. He's not going anywhere.
They desperately need a bottom six winger.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do they though? Like, do you spend the assets if you know someone's coming back healthy?
They have an extra fifth round pick from Colorado. Use it.
All right. While we're talking lineup and injuries, so full health right here, right? Full health. We're talking Toffoli, Jack, Brat, or whatever, right?
Sure.
I guess. Sure. Timo, Nico, Palat.
Yep.
Or even Mercer, right? Whatever. Then
Mercer, McLeod.
You're talking
Holtz.
Lazar. McLeod. Yeah, so you're talking Lazar, McLeod, Holtz. And then you have Holla, Mercer, Bastion, Smith, somebody. You almost have an extra guy, but then also a guy you can replace.
It's hard with, when everyone's healthy, it's the top 9 is all full of top 6 caliber players.
Yeah, that's something we touched on before the season. It's like you can kind of do whatever you want with the top 9. It's just with the emergence of Mikey, it's like the fourth line kind of becomes like a mishmash of ass.
So personally, I take it back. I'm throwing Palat on the third line with Mikey and Holtz. You give me Palat, McLeod, Holtz as the third line. I'm bumping Mercer into the top 6 because he's been producing lately. And he produces in the top 6.
Yeah.
So then you're giving me Toffoli. Actually, give me Toffoli, Jack, Mercer. Timo, Nico, Brat.
Interesting.
Palat, Mikey, Holtz. Brendan Smith, Holla, and Lazar.
That's a damn good lineup. I like Smith at left wing too. I do.
Yeah, I can't take him out over Bastion right now. I just can't.
Well, Bastion's just been the worst player on the team, not named Chris Tierney.
What the season 2 I was like, I literally said like Nate. I don't know what he does, but Nate Bastion is good, and now he's ass.
We can have Nosek back
defensively, but he's like a black hole in the offense. Nosek.
That's my thing. It's like, yeah,
Nosek
but he's
no good.
Fine. Sure, you could, and it's like, yeah, you could bring in a fourth line guy, but then you do move Smith out of the lineup because then at that point you're assuming Hamilton healthy for playoffs. So right side, Hamilton, Marino, Nemec. Left side, I'm just going to assume Siegenthaler is dead and go, what do you got? Luke, Ball, Smith/Miller.
Can we just? You assumed Hamilton was alive and Siegenthaler is dead.
Well,
Dougie's
timeline is like before playoffs, but they are likely going to do the Kucherov, Mark Stone timeline of even if they're back, they're ready a couple weeks before playoffs. He needs some skating and practices to get ready.
Yeah, count me in for that.
Yeah,
that's gonna happen for sure.
I know it's locked in. The moment the insider said playoffs, it was a lock.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see where we're probably getting a left defenseman. Seems almost like a lock.
On this same note, with Hamilton being out until playoffs, how would you ideally use his cap space?
Connor McDavid? No. We just got the report today. What Hannafin's re-signing? That was legit though, right? I mean, I could be mistaken.
No, I thought it was. Was it legit?
Report. Yeah.
I thought it was like legit
sucks.
report.
Well, why would he or they do that?
More so them.
Well, I understand why they would do that.
Yeah,
They've got good. Well, he's good. They got Huberdeau for the next forever. They've got Kadri for a little bit. They've got Coleman for a little bit. They got Yeezy. They got Mark. Like, they have pieces. So I understand why Calgary would do it. I don't know why Hannafin would do it.
Unless they're giving him like $8.5–9 million a year.
Which they maybe threw it at him and just was like, maybe.
But do they even have the cap for that, like, long term? Huberdeau's getting what, 11.5?
I mean, look at what 11. Toronto has done. They have, I mean, I think they have the cap for it. You just, ELCs and league minimums and plugs for your bottom six, and then they don't win anyway. So.
Yeah, that's true.
But, so Tanev, it sounds like, is still out there on the table. I know you're a big Chychrun guy, just writing about that. Yep. Or no, tweeting, whatever you did about it.
Well, tweeting, and then I will be writing.
But yeah, there's options out there, so I'm almost convinced we're going to get one of them, and I think it's going to be a value trade as Fitz just only does.
Yeah. It makes the most sense as well, considering where they are. Playoffs aren't a total given, but I still expect them to. He's going to do something, he being Fitz, he's going to do something that makes sense for now, and then going forward as well, which is something he always tries to do, minus the Foley trade. Because that seems, unless he extends it, that seems like maybe just a one-year thing, but I wouldn't, like, as much as I would have said they were going to go after, like, a Sealer or Walker type, even though Philly's, like, above them in the standings, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. It's going to be someone like a Chychrun or Hannafin if you can get him on extension, or someone who I really want for the left side, especially now with Siegenthaler out, Alexiak. Guys who have term to an extent, but it's not, like, ridiculous term. It's like up within like 2-3 years, and then Chychrun obviously would be an extension because he's still young.
Well, yeah, I thought Hannafin's a UFA after this year, so that's not really term.
Hannafin's UFA. You would only trade for him.
He's like young enough where it's like you can justify.
It would be a trade with an expected extension.
Yeah. He's like what, like 2 years younger than Severson, something like that. So like
he's 26,
similar. Yeah.
By the way, I don't see Chychrun happening. Just FYI.
Oh, it's absolutely not happening at all.
I don't know.
I don't even think he's going to be offered in any way.
I think you can convince them to some varying degree with how bad they are.
Yeah, if you give them like Nemitz.
Okay, then if they don't want to do that, then someone else I really want for them is Claude Giroux. If you can convince him to come to New Jersey.
Hold on, I doubt that one too.
I don't know if Ottawa really sends any of their top six or defensemen.
The only way I see it is if they were an active pending UFA, and that would be it. Both Chychrun and Giroux both have 1 year beyond this, so I'm saying literally non-starters. It's not happening.
Yeah, and
that roster is young enough and good enough that the GM will convince themselves, and I think rightly so, that they can compete next year, even how this year has gone.
They have a lot of talent. They looking at their roster on paper, I don't understand why they're so bad. Like goaltending, yeah, but like
they need
I can see them moving Tarasenko. I can see Tarasenko moving.
Well, he's gone. Like
yeah, but like who else is? I just don't see why they do it.
I don't expect us to say this, but like they need some sort of like maybe like roster shakeup, like because something clearly isn't working. Even with Jacques Martin, I think he's the interim head coach. I know coaches don't they don't impact the team a ton, but like. They're bad.
They are really bad. And thinking about it now, like, I don't want to say they don't have any, like, play drivers, but, like, I feel like outside of Tim Stützle, like...
Okay, I was going to say,
they're relying on Claude Giroux to, like, do a lot of heavy lifting, which he still can do, but, like...
Right, but to what extent?
If he retires, like, what, like, Shane Pinto, he's not playing
right.
currently. Josh Norris...
He's a sniper, though. He's a sniper.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I think you can convince them to some degree. I do think that you can get someone like Giroux or Chychrun if they think they can bring it more up front. Chychrun, obviously, probably not. But Giroux, I think you could do something there.
Maybe. The one name I could definitely see them moving, and this is a Devils podcast, so it doesn't really matter, but Eric Brandstrom, I could see, him going somewhere. He's 24... RFA. They don't use him. He's pretty decent. I don't know if he's left-handed. If he is left-handed, I wouldn't mind looking into him. But as far as defense goes, I feel like it's got to be Calgary, right?
I would have been convinced of Seattle had they not gone on this win streak recently. Because Joey Decor is like posting like a 98 save percentage recently. So they're back in the playoff mix. So Calgary's really bad. Speaking of Calgary goalies, where I wanted to go before, Markstrom is like one of the best, if not like I forget. I think it was by like Evolving Hockey or someone. He might have like the best goal save above expected in the league.
He sure does.
I know a red team on the East Coast who could use that.
The only thing with Markstrom, and I'm a pretty big Markstrom fan because he helped me win the fantasy league.
He helped us.
Yeah,
please.
Okay, guy. I brought in like halfway through the year.
That's correct.
Okay, so, he's got multiple years on his contract. We very likely would like a small retention on him. We necessarily don't need it. I could see us putting a package together where we don't need him retained at all. But I could also see the idea of getting a small, 1.5 mil, even up to 2 retention. I don't think it goes any further than that. Where his track record is he does very well, then he does not so well, then he does very well, and then he does not so well, then he does very well, and so far this is one of the very well years, and it's coming up true. Last year, not so good, which would mean next year, not so good. But he has 3 years left, which means we would get 1 more year of him where he would be good.
I will say I was looking at his stats because I recently did an article on non-Gibson related goaltenders that the Devils could look at because I don't want Gibson at all for a million reasons. But I was looking at his goal save above expected in his career, and last year he was really
Markstrom, right?
Yeah, Markstrom. Last year he was really bad. Every year before that and this year, he was either positive or like very, very slightly below average, which looking at like the box score statistics, like yes, good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. But like he's still saving pucks at a pretty good clip. I don't know. I thought.
So here, I can throw you the numbers at you, analytics boys, real quick. So right now he is 9.3 above expected in 23 games. Phenomenal.
Sick.
Last year in 59 games played, 3.1 under.
Even that,
remember,
that's nothing.
That's in 59. That's in 59.
I'm going to post something in our chat just to give you more of the visual.
The year before that, 10.8 above. Remember, wishy-washy, right? Back and forth. The year before that, so this is 2020, 2021, 43 games, 9.3 below.
That's not that's not great.
And that's his years on the flank. Whatever, 4 years.
How many games was that? 9.3?
How many games, or what was his below?
I think it was 43, he said.
43. 43 at 9.3 below.
Both Devils goalies who played the majority of the games this year are almost like already there. And it's January 8th.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think I was probably one of the first people to say Markstrom. I'm all for it. Obviously, it's going to all be, if there's any retention, what's the package going back? Is anything else included with Calgary's thing? Blah, 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 right? Like, it is obviously the holistic picture. But if you told me we won the trade and got Markstrom in it, I'm thrilled. It's not even I'm not upset. I am thrilled.
Yeah.
In terms of realistic goalie targets, because he is obviously one of them, I think he's the best option. Because I think he has 1 year less than Gibson, right? I'm going somewhere with this.
Yes.
I think.
My only concern now is with the Hanifin report of re-signing. Does that make Calgary think, oh, well, we just don't trade Markstrom now? We got Hanifin next year. We've got.
I mean, knowing how that organization operates, probably not. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they extended Markstrom at this point with how they're I mean,
every team prefers to stay in the mix than go into a rebuild.
Well, I mean, they didn't. Treliving backed that organization into a corner for the next like 15 years with the repercussions of those extensions.
Yeah.
So they're kind of forced to keep him. Well, not forced to keep him, but forced to like go for it. And they're trying to go for it. I mean, they sold to Floyd, but they're trying to go for it. They're like one of the worst teams in the league. They have no chance of making the playoffs.
So they have a chance. They have a
If
chance.
Markstrom keeps playing like this, they have a chance.
They are.
He's playing like this, and they're still 26th. What happens when he takes?
Well,
what happens when he?
They are
trails?
6 points back, and then I mean Edmonton is not falling out of that position.
They're gonna win the division probably. Like forget about that.
I don't know about that, but Edmonton is definitely playing themselves very much into the playoffs.
Vancouver's not dropping out. Vegas is not dropping out. LA's not dropping out. Edmonton's not dropping out. That's 4 teams in the division. Winnipeg's not dropping out. Colorado's not dropping out. Dallas is not winning out. So that'd be better than Nashville or Seattle.
Yeah. So for Nashville,
is good all of a sudden. So
for Nashville, they're 6 points out.
Sure. And Arizona, who I think's better than them. I called that, by the way, over the summer. I said they were going to be good, and everyone gave me shit for it, and they're good.
Everyone, no, I think JP and I were very much like, no, Arizona's gonna be like they put an actual roster together.
Yeah,
I don't know if we had them as.
I remember bad vibes.
Yeah, I don't know if we had them as a playoff team. I think my take was they are gonna be they're gonna be competitive but miss playoffs. I think was my take.
Yeah, I thought I was kind of just like, yeah, they have a lot of really good forward pieces, but their defense is gonna hold them back from getting into the playoffs.
But maybe that was the case. I don't remember.
Did a trade just go down?
Did a trade just go down?
I just got blown up. Did a trade just happen?
Oh my God! Yes, Jamie Drysdale got shipped out to Philly.
The Flyers.
What? This is a big trade
for a second-round pick.
No.
Wait.
Cutter Gauthier, or however you pronounce his name.
Wait,
Cutter.
what?
Cutter for Drysdale.
Cutter for Drysdale in a second.
What just happened? Are the Flyers going all in?
Jamie Drysdale.
Oh, no. They got Drysdale and a second for Cutter.
Why would they?
Wow.
Okay. So, no, the Flyers are not going all in, moving their second. They got a second.
Yes.
And That's a pretty shrewd move.
I think that's a good trade for both teams, just on the surface level.
No, what that trade is boom or bust.
No, Jamie Drysdale has been like, okay,
yeah,
quick look at his
he's
stats.
not been great,
Sad, right?
What? Pedigree.
To his defense, right, exactly. Pedigree into his defense, he had major shoulder surgery, like, recently.
Oh.
Also,
did you see the Saravelli tweet? Cutter refused to play in Philly. That's
so awesome.
Cutter said, nah.
Wow.
So the fact they got Drysdale in a second for a guy that was like, I'm not playing for your organization is actually a pretty good move.
You could have done better. We just spent how long talking about defensemen? You couldn't have gotten Noah Hannafin?
No. The Flyers need future. The Flyers got to build around Mikov. Like they do not want anyone that's like over the age of 24.
Yeah.
No, the Flyers absolutely got to go all futures. So getting Drysdale in a second for a guy that said nah,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Now again, Drysdale could bomb out, but his pedigree says there's something there.
He also just doesn't seem like a torts guy. Like then again, maybe like.
I don't. So I'll be honest. There for younger guys, I cannot tell you who's a torts or not a torts guy. Like Holtz probably would never see the NHL.
That's the thing. That like I mean, again, it depends. Like
we hate rough.
He's not a Ristolainen. He's not a Sealer. He's not a Walker. He's not a Delorier.
The Flyers have Cam York, and he's done fairly well, and he's not like.
I mean, Cam York is also just a better player
right now. Yeah.
Sure. And does Holtz? It's unfair.
Does Holtz see a second of ice under torts?
No.
I think so. No, I think so. With the way, I mean, what they've asked him to do, this has gone off the rails, and I love this, by the way, but But what you've seen from Holtz this past year, what they want him to do is to work on the defensive side of the puck a little bit more. He's done that. One of his assists against I think it was a Chicago game, he blocked the shot and he got an assist. Like he is willing to do the dirty work. He's willing.
By the way, Elliot essentially confirms the report of Cutter said nah to Philly.
That's so badass by Cutter. I don't know. I think that's it. Didn't he just have a sick World Juniors too?
Yeah, he.
Yeah.
Scored,
Oh yeah, no.
He scored in the gold medal match.
Yeah.
He scored the game.
We, as Devils fans,
no,
we should love this. A second-round lottery pick, Vert and Drysdale, who bombed out this season,
for one
and
of the top prospects in the league.
Yeah. We love this. This is fantastic. Because Cutter is also a douche. Like I was not looking forward to playing against that man for a decade and a half.
Bro, that guy's he's gonna look really good next to Leo Carlson. That's so crazy. Him, Leo Carlson, like Mason McTavish, or I know McTavish plays center, but like that's just Anaheim's gonna be a problem.
Anaheim's gonna be so fun for so many years.
We're gonna have like a Stanley Cup final rematch one of these days.
Whenever they move off of Gibson, this year, next year, the year, whatever that is, right? They're going to get some sort of package because it's John Gibson. So they're going to get some assets there. And it's just when their young studs actually take over in Zegras, Cutter here, like it's just going to be a fun team.
Man,
and they're out west. So.
Even looking at Ottawa, I know we discussed him as well. You couldn't have moved Cutter Gauthier for Chikrin? You couldn't have I mean, maybe they did, but like
again, Senators are not selling off if they have the guy for even one more year. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. I also think Philly was firmly on we want
futures,
really young players.
Build around.
I also trust Danny Briere because I've been on the record saying I like what he's done so far. Drysdale doesn't do it for me.
I mean, he could be good. I mean, if he hits his potential, then that's a slam dunk.
Exactly. So sides. if it doesn't work, you also got a second-round pick. So it's still okay.
All I'm saying is, in the immediate term and everything, dub for the Devils. What were we talking about again with our team?
Jacob Markstrom.
Right. Yeah. Goalies was something like that.
Yeah. Let's circle back to that.
Well, real quick, I think we did touch on that a lot. Was there any other major topics we want to touch on? Because we're coming in fairly close to an hour if we have another topic to touch on.
I got nothing, honestly.
We did injuries. Oh, we didn't actually talk about any of the games itself.
I mean, Chicago is what it is. We beat the Blackhawks, and then Vancouver, it is what it is. We iced the Utica Comets and lost 6-4.
We had the Utica Comets and like 3 NHL guys.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't really talked about him much since, other than me saying to slow your roll on Nemitz because he's not Dougie Hamilton, but he's.
Oh no! Okay, again, so we can touch on this. Nemitz is not Dougie. We really need and would love to have Dougie back. When Dougie comes back, do you know who's coming out of the roster? Not Nemitz.
Colin Miller.
It's
gonna be Colin Miller. Well, it's gonna be Brendan Smith, but
you know who it should be?
Kevin Ball.
Probably Kevin Ball.
Yep.
Kevin Ball and a first-round pick to the Ottawa Senators
for Jacob Chikrin.
Because Kevin Ball played for the Ottawa 67s.
Not happening.
Use that.
Apparently, management loves Kevin Ball, and I understand why. I get it. I truly get it. So,
Andy and Bruno just tweeted, "Holy mama, this awful news for Philadelphia with the Cutter Gauthier sign. He didn't want to play Philly."
Dude, the fact it's crazy that how do you pronounce his name? JP, how do you pronounce it?
Who?
Michkov?
Michkov. Yeah.
The fact that he apparently was like, "No, I'm going to Philly," and then Cutter was like, "Nah, I'm not going to Philly."
He saw the Eagles collapse. He's like, "I can't let that happen to me."
It's too much for my soul. But I mean, I did have one other topic.
I like that as a side. It's like now they have an enemy. Like Cutter Gauthier is a sworn enemy to the Philadelphia Flyers organization.
Oh, dude, he is going to get booed and stuff thrown at him so hard at his first Philly game.
And he is going to absolutely piss everyone on that team off too. You know,
yeah, he's a jerk.
Yeah. He's going to be such a douchebag when he plays the Flyers the first time. It's going to be awesome to watch.
I legitimately will tune into that game.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
As far as the games that we have played recently, yeah, Vancouver, I talked about it on my game reaction episode, we got smoked. I mean, just the whole first period, we were lucky to get out nothing. There was absolute copium going into the second, saying, "Oh, we survived. Let's fight." Nope, no shot. Got smoked in the second, pretty much. Almost made it competitive, and then Dawes gives up his one brutal stinker with the wraparound.
Was that the fourth one?
And I was like,
I watched nothing about the game. Was that the fourth one?
That was the fourth goal. Yeah. So the first period was nothing, and we got, Andrew. When I tell you, we got smoked.
I was on my computer playing the game, and I was refreshing. It was 10-0, 11-0, 12-2. I was like, what is happening?
Smoked. It was yeah. No, I swear, Quinn was in the locker room telling him, "Yo, my brother's out. Let's stomp these nerds," and they did it. Then we went into the second period, and then
I did tune into the
Pedersen.
They blew that tripping call, but
yeah, Pedersen was like, "Oh yeah, wait, I'm an amazing player. I always ghost versus the Devils for some reason, but I'm gonna pop off in this one," and he does his thing. I talked about it. I swear that JT Miller goal, I've seen Devils goals get called back as a kick, but you're not allowed to challenge it. The NHL said it wasn't a kick. So that's 2-0.
I haven't seen it. Did you see that? Sorry. Did you see the Anaheim disallowed goal or the allowed goal last night in Anaheim against Detroit? Either of you? Never.
I did not.
I was going to ask for comparison. I've seen no highlights.
Then they put it up, whatever it was, 3-0 off of another very nice offensive play by Vancouver.
Yep.
Again, Vancouver, their offense, when they're in the ozone and set up, that team is magical.
Frightening,
watching them. Just their top guys, if they're on the ice and set up, it is very, not when they're playing us, but otherwise, that is great offense to watch. But we almost brought it back with our third line defensemen and fourth line forwards just almost dragged us to a W, or at least a point.
Yeah,
and then, like you talked about.
Oh my god, that fucking penalty.
That wraparound goal. And then the not penalty versus Luke was just atrocious officiating.
Horrible. The ref was looking right at it. JT Miller sticks his little foot out. Luke goes flying. How? In what world is that not an immediate
in
call?
in NHL ref and game management world, that is not a call.
Fuck that world, dude. And then fucking, oh my god. If there's
Vancouver deserved that W.
Yeah.
But yes.
Right.
That's where it's again, did they deserve to win? No. Should they have had a 6-on-3? They might have won the game. If they tied it, the building's on fire, you still have a power play. I mean, again, Copia, but they didn't even get the chance, which is the problem.
We win that game if Dawes doesn't do the wraparound. It's whatever, but we lost. It's whatever. Chicago game was nice. That was a win. We said, the
schedule.
Dark hit was clean. The Nico hit was dirty. We rough and tumbled it up versus a lot of plugs, which was nice.
Boris Kachuk was like this, and then they absolutely got smoked after it.
Then we smoked the Capitals, which felt great.
Yep.
The Bruins game was close until it wasn't.
Yep.
Senators, we smoked them. I would say we outplayed the Blue Jackets heavily. They were lucky to get to overtime. The Flyers game, we outplayed heavily. They were lucky to get to overtime, but then got the dub. And then it was, then it wasn't so great for a little bit there. But the thing I talked about very early at the top of the podcast, Nico Hischier, since returning to the lineup right after Thanksgiving, this team has been one of, if not the best team in the NHL as far as putting points together. And for my analytic boys that I'm on the podcast here with, at 5v5 expected goals for percentage, we are 6th in the NHL since Nico's return.
Yep. He's necessary. He's necessary.
Heart and soul, heartbeat. You have Jack Hughes on the team, so it's very hard to call him the most important player, but
I mean, there's a legitimate argument, right?
What the importance factor?
Yeah, just I guess it's a morale thing, or the ability for like that high level player to also be able to shut down opposing top lines.
It also prevents Dawson Mercer from playing center, which is a problem.
I think a big part of it, honestly, and I don't remember who said it, but I think it was even multiple guys over a few different games while Nico was out or shortly after his return. They talked about how in certain game situations, Nico goes over the boards. You just opening face-off on the power play, or going second unit on the penalty kill, face-offs at 5-on-5, all that stuff. It was Nico goes over the boards. Now, I also know Mikey is a huge part of that, so I don't want to not mention him here as far as PK or D-zone starts or whatever, but Nico was one of those all situations type guy, and when he's out of the lineup and you're plugging in somebody else, and now Mikey, I think, actually filled that hole very nicely, but then the guy that had to fill Mikey's hole, it was just a gap. That was a gulf to try and fill in.
Yeah. No, I mean he's the
record with him this year is 17-8-2,
which is ridiculous. That's
President's Trophy.
Yeah.
Since someone posted this in one of the chats and it's what I posted in here. This was yesterday, so this is very recent. Since Nico returned on November 25th, the Devils are tied for first place in the East in points.
Yep. You need. Now, obviously, that's with him and Jack both together, so we're gonna hopefully not see too long of a stretch here without him and Jack, because everybody says it, we says it. That 1-2 punch of Jack Nico.
Which is a shame because now you kind of figure Jack's shoulder, it's going to be a recurring theme over the course of his career, which is unfortunate.
Well, it's his wrist, isn't it?
It's his hangnail. It's a hangnail, guys.
I actually have one right now. It fucking kills me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was his wrist. When he fell, I thought it was kind of like an awkward pass that he kind of did.
My gut reaction was wrist, watching it live and seeing the replays, and then seeing Novozinski and a few of the other reporters saying he was favoring his wrist. But then you had the online Twitter doctor talking shoulder, and then other people saying, we're trying to. Who knows? I'm one of those guys that's just like, it is what it is. Next guy up. Obviously, want good news over bad news.
Yeah.
But it's reality. You just deal with it. Nothing we say, or you can't get too down on it because
I think they can weather a game or two. If you told me this happened 2 years ago, before Mike McLeod became an actual player, you can weather it to a degree currently.
I think we could weather probably a dozen games straight up.
Yeah, if Timo and Palat come back soon.
Yeah. No, if you're missing Jack, Timo, Palat, Siegenthaler, Dougie.
Yeah.
All we're talking, a full month plus on top of what they've already been out. That's and current goaltending and no other trades. That's rough, boys.
That's bad. That would be arguably probably season ending.
But if you get Timur Palat back in a decent time frame, even if Jack's out a little bit longer than those two, we know Dougie and Siegenthaler, it's playoffs at optimistic time frame, and then throw on maybe an acquisition or two or something. I still am like, no, this is a playoff team.
Oh, I think it's firmly a playoff team. If
you still got Brett, even go back a few years. If I told you your lineup was Toffoli, Nico, Brett as your top line, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 3 years ago, our top line was like Wayne Simmons and Jack Hughes and some other scrum.
Well, that was third line or something, but yeah.
Same thing. I don't know. Back then, it was the same thing. Yeah, I mean, you got to think that one of Timo or Palat is coming back on Thursday with Graham Clark being sent down. Although that could be a cap thing, but I have a feeling it's not.
So if you want to say everyone's still hurt, Graham Clark coming back point of view, it's Utica has a couple games while we don't let him play. But I think he's just staying in Utica and somebody's back, is my take.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would assume it's Timo, just because I've heard radio silence on Palat. I don't even know what he hurt.
Puck during practice, I think.
And then that's
body, and it was like, that was it, yeah. So we'll see.
To the feelings.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those things where I think it's like Vancouver's a Western team. dropping a game against them is really not world ending. If we're missing or making playoffs by a single game, it's probably already looking pretty bleh anyway. So let Palat take the one extra game off, or Timo and Palat take the extra game off, take the 4-day break on top of it.
I was going to say, you have a long break.
And then come back for a stretch of Tampa, Florida, and Boston, all Eastern teams.
That's so rough.
Like, you're like, okay, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I can continue on this a little bit further. I'd say the last thing I would probably want to wrap up on, is there any individuals here, beyond those that we've already talked about, like Nico, that you want to give shout outs to or rip apart a bit? Remember, we already ripped apart Bastion.
Yes. Luke Hughes. I think he has been playing like shit recently. Like past 2, 3, 4 games.
Now, okay, I'm going to pull this out. Colloquially, semantics, when you say shit,
relative to how he was earlier.
Has he?
Honestly, I don't even know if the stats back this up, but I think he's been incredibly sloppy with the puck. I think he's been forcing a lot of turnovers on bad passes. I just think he's been trying to do a little bit too much. I know that's kind of a running joke with like, oh, Jack Hughes is trying to do too much here. But I genuinely think Luke is trying to do that a little bit. I think he's forcing a bit.
I think that's just the Hughes nature.
It could be. I don't see Quinn doing that, though.
I think Quinn did it earlier, and now he's just that guy.
He's just fucking good.
He's just that guy. No, I think the Hughes confidence level is just through the roof, that they're like, I can literally out-stick and puck maneuver anyone in the NHL, and I'm going to attempt that play. And you see that with Jack even, and it just doesn't always work. But talking about Luke, I would say he has been not electric, which if you want to say he's been shit, is just he's not been as good as he has been. I would say he has not been as electric as he has been 5-on-5 at some points. I think he also had obviously the one breakaway play, which I haven't talked about since we've been on here, where he took it end-to-end goal, took it to overtime.
Yeah,
Luke Hughes is a god. He's also, by a points perspective, recently has been a lot better because I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. So in the last stretch, he's actually been quite good compared to how he was before that. But I will say the one power play where the team played really high up on him and was pressuring him like crazy threw him off a little bit.
Yeah.
I still don't think it was like, this is a problem, teams are going to start doing this and Luke can't adapt. But
I think he'll be able to adapt.
That was Chicago, right? Chicago played him up really high.
Yes.
And it really threw our power play for a loop.
Yeah.
So I can see teams trying that, but I don't think it's a concern by any means with Luke. But I think he's been fine. Again, still a rookie.
It's also a newish D partner because he's playing with Marino now, so it's a little bit of a.
They did swap him around a little bit,
Sure.
but yeah, I think he's been fine. As far as shoutouts, we did Nemec, fantastic. I mean, just Holtz, same thing, fantastic. Brat, I think, is exceeding expectations even with he's had a dry stretch. Still, even with that, exceeding expectations.
Yeah.
Nico has still been Nico. I think early on the season he deserved some production criticism and even play criticism, but he was on a line with Mercer and Timo, who were like black holes of everything hockey. So I don't even know if that was Nico per se. But since returning from his injury, he's been fantastic. To Foley, maybe a actual finishing criticism. I said it literally since game one. I don't think he is anything in the defensive zone. Don't expect a scratch from him there. But in transition, he is still fine. I think he still puts himself in the right position. Maybe just a little bit of PDO finishing luck.
Speaking of that, Brad has like 1 goal since Christmas, and he has like 25, 30 shots. So he'll probably be.
Yeah, we'll see an uptick in goals for sure.
I will say he has his one play that he does all the time, which is I'm coming down the right side boards. I'm going to beat the defenseman with my speed, and I'm going to drive the net. and try and put it in, and it works like
It's like one of the sickest
5% of the times, but it's still a great play every time.
It's so sick to watch. That's all I care about.
It's so great every time. It just
it's
the finishing on it has been
bad.
Fine. Yeah, bad. It's not been great, but it's still a great play. You still try it every time. You still go for it. Otherwise, yeah, I think everybody else has mostly been.
Dawes has been good. Dawes has been good.
Oh,
we
yeah.
haven't given a shout out to Dawes.
Recent stretch for sure.
Yeah.
Marino's back to where I think Marino needs to be. I don't think he is last season's like one of the best defensemen in the NHL, Marino. I don't think he's early season not great Marino. I think he is what we need, John Marino.
Yeah. Siegenthaler before his injury was horrible.
Not great. Not great at all by any means.
Just actually just straight up awful. Like really.
We shouted out Lazar.
Yep.
Ball, I actually think has been fine. I think he has been nowhere near his preseason peak.
Yeah, no, we gassed him up.
How old is he? How old is he?
24.
Like JP's age.
Hey.
No, he's like 20.
He's 23.
23. All right, so he's got a year on me.
He's 23, and he will be 23 for the remainder of the season, which I think is important because, like, versus like turning 24 in January versus not is a thing.
He is younger than I thought he was.
For the season.
I thought he was 24.
He is still on the age curve trajectory of getting better year over year. I think he has been fine given all of that.
I'd still deal him in a Alexiak trade because that's his extreme.
I would probably deal him in most left-handed defenseman trades, just because the Devils need to win.
I disagree. Both of you.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I disagree. Definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, Alexiak is 31, so has 2 more years at 4.6. He is on the age curve downturn. You got a 23-year-old defenseman who is a monster as far as body size goes. You just can't train that.
6'7".
Yeah, so yeah, Alexiak is also a monster, but he is 31 compared to 23.
I would not trade him for
4 times the cap hit. Like 4 times the cap hit.
That's the selling point for me. As a player, I would probably do it 1-for-1.
Okay, if you were to tell me if I wanted Ball or Alexiak for this year's playoffs, I'm taking Alexiak. If you were to tell me, do I want to trade 2 whatever his Ball's contract is million for 4.6 million on a 23 versus 31-year-old player, I'm taking the 23-year-old at 1 point something.
11 times out of 10, yeah.
For where our team is at, if I was the Lightning or Pittsburgh, I'd probably take Alexiak.
That's fair.
With where our team is at, I'm keeping Kevin Ball because he also knows our system.
It's a must-win year in a sense, but it's not actually because you have another like 7 years after this where you could do something.
Yeah, no, it is not a must-win year at all, and especially we know that this system is an absolute brain mush for most players. Apparently,
needs to change.
At least under Ruff.
Yeah,
I'm taking the guy that at least is playing in it.
Yeah,
fair.
I'm not saying I would never trade Ball. Don't get it twisted. Right. But for any left defenseman upgrade, like short term, there's very few people I probably do trade Ball for, and there's definitely some. But realistically, people that would actually trade for him and would give up a good asset, yada yada, I'm sure that is a very short list. I would actually have to think over.
Calgary.
Ottawa.
If Ball was in like a Markstrom, Hannafin, and somebody else, I would even need like a third guy in there.
You could get
with retention. Yeah, like with retention, like maybe
on waivers.
I could absolutely see a world where there's a package on both sides where Ball is included there, but I don't see it happening.
Sweetener right now.
Right,
it's not gonna happen. Management's not gonna deal him, but I'm just saying I would.
But. That's kind of where
we've talked about Palat, Bratt, Holla. I think has been.
He's still on pace by 50%.
Whatever, yeah. Paula, Mikey, fantastic. Lazar, fantastic. We covered the. I think. Oh, and then we know that I'm not even going to get into goaltending. We know it. It's been beaten to death.
Yep.
It is what it is. It's just is what it is. I think we touched about every other defenseman. I think we touched it all. We did everything. We did it.
We did it. We did it, everyone.
We did the thing.
Yeah, so I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up then.
Yep, I'm out of talking points.
It was nice recording with you fellas.
Twitter drama's dumb.
So dumb. That's it. That's the comment. Twitter drama's dumb.
And I'm out of whiskey, so we can end the podcast.
All right, boys. Take it easy, everyone.
Just been Bros, best player in the NHL.